Do you believe Kamala Harris is black?
I believe that Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is, but I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience, she pretends to be something different in front of another audience.
Right.
Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign, she's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she does.
So CNN did an interview with JD Vance today, and it went about exactly the way you would expect. Almost every single question was ridiculous and stupid. I counted, this was about a 20-minute interview. There were only 2 questions about actual policy, and of those 2 questions, one policy was abortion, and the other was the Federal Reserve, which I'm not saying those issues don't matter, but you wonder why CNN doesn't want to ask about the border, about crime, about the economy. We absolutely know the reason. But nonetheless, I will say perhaps it is good that CNN was asking Vance these stupid questions about Democrats are calling you weird. What did you say about childless cat ladies, all this stuff, because it does give Vance an opportunity, a platform on their network to respond to some of these claims. And I did think that JD Vance did a pretty good job of it. And hey, it's worth noting that Kamala Harris is still yet to do a single interview with the media. Even CNN, who would cover for her, they would say, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. You know, question number 1, tell me why you're such an amazing candidate and literally the Queen of America, but she won't do it for some reason. So either way, I think it was in the end a good look for Vance. He handled himself quite well, and we'll react to some of that today. So folks, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new so we can keep bringing you videos like this. All right, without further ado, let's get in very early into this interview. I mean, straight up, she just asks, why are you weird, essentially? Take a listen.
Something that Governor Walz has called you and Donald Trump, and that is weird.
Sure.
And it is taken off. The New York Times reports that when Donald Trump was asked about it, he said, not me, they're talking about JD.
It has taken off. What do you mean? Because Democrats are saying it? Because your media, which is Democrat media, is saying it? What does that mean? You know? Is there a national consensus that the Republicans are weird, or is this just something you're astroturfing as usual? But anyways, all right.
Well, certainly they've levied that charge against me more than anybody else, but I think that it drives home how they're trying to distract from their own policy failures. I mean, look, this is fundamentally schoolyard bully stuff. They can accuse me of whatever they want to accuse me of. As Harry S. Truman once said, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And I'm doing this because I think that me being vice president will help improve people's lives. So I accept their attacks, but I think that it is a little bit of projection, Dana, if you think about, just take a couple of days ago. Tim Walz gives this big speech. He's been announced as the VP nominee. And I remember when I had just been announced as the VP nominee, I gave my big speech and I saw my wife and I gave her a big hug and a kiss because I love my wife and I think that's what a normal person does. Tim Walz gave his wife a nice, firm Midwestern handshake and then tried to sort of awkwardly correct for it. So I think that what it is 2 people, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who aren't comfortable in their own skin because they aren't comfortable with their policy positions for the American people. And so they're name calling instead of actually telling the American people how they're going to make their lives better. I think that's weird, Dana, but look, they can call me whatever they want to.
You're saying Tim Walz doesn't have affection for his wife? I don't even understand that.
I said that he acted weird, which he did, on a national stage in front of his wife and in front of millions of Americans who presumably were watching at home. And I think that it's projection, Dana. Look, I think this...
It absolutely is projection, by the way. Kamala Harris cannot even do a single interview with the media, even media that is favorable to her, because she struggles so hard to act like a real human being, okay? That's the real reason. It's not because, like, oh, Joe Biden, cognitive decline. No, Kamala Harris struggles so much to not act like a weirdo, right? Like a establishment politician robot or something. She's scared to talk to anybody. But of course, we are the ones that are weird. It's just, so I think Vance is handling this question completely the right way. First of all, say it's a distraction, it's a stupid attack, but then also, hey, if you want to go down that route, it's true. It's very true.
This election should be about who's going to solve the inflation crisis, who's going to make groceries and housing more affordable, who's going to secure that southern border. Kamala Harris's record is that she supported all the policies that made that problem worse, Dana. We're trying to say we're going to take the country in a different direction. I really think that it's important to point this out, Dana. Their entire campaign has not been about, here's our policy for how we're going to make your life better, or here's what's wrong with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's policies. We're going to name call and hope that you don't notice that we don't have an agenda. That is the entire Democrat approach to this election.
They have done both. They have both policies, and they are trying to define you as well.
They don't have policies. This is just not true. This is misinformation. Go on the Kamala Harris website. There are no policies, okay? It is standard political practice for candidates to put an agenda on their website, okay? Everyone does it except Kamala Harris. What are their policies, Dana? Okay, would you like to name one? Name one then. All right, let's hear this.
If you go to Kamala Harris's campaign page right now, they still don't have a policy.
Well, let's talk about policy
positions
versus
about what they're going to do. I think that's really insulting to Americans.
You started out talking about the policies in this interview, but you have been on the campaign trail questioning Tim Walz's military record. You say it was shameful that Governor Walz retired from the military before his unit deployed to Iraq. I want to read you something that Joe Eustace, who is a veteran, he served with Governor Walz, said. He said that's a lie. He said he was as good a soldier as you'll find. I'm not trying to defend him. I hope people don't think that. What I'm trying to do is defend someone who served his country. I'm not voting for him. I'll campaign against him. But I don't think it's fair to characterize his service the way they have. Governor Walz served 24 years. He even stayed after he could have retired because of 9/11, more than the country asked of him. Do you honor his service?
Well, of course, Dana, I honor his service, and I've never criticized what Tim Walz did when he was in the military. I criticized his retirement decision, and most importantly, Dana, I criticized his lying about his own record, okay?
Right.
This is a guy who was captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video. As other people say, he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service. I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain, Dana.
Exactly.
Now, I served in the United States Marine Corps, and you know this. And look, there are a lot of things that I'm proud about. I've never lied about what I did or overstated it because it would be beneficial to me in an election. I think that's what Tim Walz did. That's what I was criticizing. And yes, I do think it's scandalous behavior.
You talked about one of the things that he said, weapons of war. He was talking in a campaign stop about, he was trying to talk about gun control. And he said, weapons of war I carried in war. I will say that the Harris-Walz campaign did say that the governor misspoke there. Do you accept that?
He misspoke. Another word is that he lied about it, and he didn't correct the record for 15 years until he was put under political pressure because I called it out, Dana. Whatever you want to call it, a misspeaking or a lie, I think Tim Walz should have to correct the record. Now, you pointed out a soldier who defended his service. There have been a number of soldiers who served with Tim Walz who have criticized him on the exact same grounds that I have because it's not right to misstate or to embellish what you've done, and I think that's what he did.
And what would CNN say if a Republican said something like that, but then later changed back and said, they misspoke? They misspoke. Would they just say scandal over? Or would they hammer it home 100%, right? We know the answer to that question.
On the question of when he left the National Guard, he filed his election paperwork February 10th, 2005. That was a month before the National Guard even announced that it was possible that they would deploy to Iraq, and it ended up being 2 months. He retired 2 months before they actually got the paperwork.
But on CNN last night, Dana, one of the people who was actually in charge of him said they knew they were going to deploy to Iraq in February of 2004, fall of 2004. So he knew he was going to Iraq. He decided to quit, to retire, whatever word you want to use.
Retire.
Because he wanted to run for Congress. He lied about that. He said that when he decided to retire, he did not know that he was going to Iraq. That is another untruth, as even his senior military officer said. So again, I'm not criticizing the service. I'm criticizing the dishonesty. Dishonesty spoken in favor and for the purpose of political benefit. And I think that the most important thing here, Dana, is it goes to Kamala Harris's judgment. Tim Walz is ultimately going to be the vice president. Kamala Harris is in great health. I'm sure she's going to be president if she wins for 4 or maybe even 8 years. Why did Kamala Harris choose a person person who has lied about their military service. I think that is a serious lapse in judgment. And I don't want to hear from a campaign spokesperson of Kamala Harris. I want to hear Kamala Harris herself address what I just said.
You know,
So I think you can see thus far that Vance is handling this interview perfectly because, you know, they all say he's weird. He's coming off as, and he's very good at this, I think, as the level-headed, rational guy. He knows what he is talking about, and he's completely right on the Tim Walz stuff. You know, nobody is attacking him despite, you know, CNN saying this, all the Democrats saying this. We're not attacking him for the millionth time over his military record. We are attacking him because he lied about it, right? He said he served in war and then he didn't. And then CNN says, oh, but years later, he walked it back under political pressure. So that means, really? And that's number one. Number two, he was lying about the title he had. We've covered that in the past. And it's like, you know, it's one thing to serve in the military, right? That's honorable no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're a combat veteran, not combat veteran. You know, we all like the veterans, okay? We agree. But when you lie about it, when you embellish, that is stolen valor. That is stolen valor, particularly from the actual veterans who maybe did fight in a war zone or, you know, did go above and beyond what you did. So it's highly dishonorable, and it's not surprising to see CNN trying to cover for that. But, you know, it is what it is. Let us continue on in this interview to just, again, more stupid questions from CNN. You'll like this one, I think. Check it out.
Kamala Harris's racial identity.
He has not been, but ask your question.
Well, he questioned her racial identity. He said a number of years ago she happened to turn black. Her father is Jamaican. Do you believe Kamala Harris is black?
I believe that Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is, but I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience.
Right.
Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of.
With respect, you
Please.
changed your position on an important thing, which is Donald Trump.
Of course I did. And
so why are
honest
you not a
about it.
chameleon?
Because, Dana, I've explained to the American people what's different.
Yeah, that's true, by the way. JD Vance actually explained it, okay? Kamala Harris has not explained why she was for banning all fracking in 2020 and then now just says she's in support of fracking. She never explained that, right? She never explained why she supported outlawing all private health insurance on the debate stage in 2020 and now just has like no healthcare platform. You know, that's the thing, is it's one thing to say you had a genuine ideological transformation, and JD Vance has talked about that long before he even ran for Senate, right? He explained why he changed his mind. Kamala Harris did not change her mind. She never really had a mind to begin with. All she did was, oh, in 2020, she thought she could win by being the progressive candidate because, you know, she was like the DEI version of Bernie Sanders. Okay, so she tried that. It didn't work. And then she just DEI'd her way into Joe Biden's vice presidency. And then now is just running on being like a establishment, normal, moderate Democrat. Okay, yeah, that's chameleon behavior, straight up. You know, and if not, then Kamala Harris should explain why 4 years ago she was a huge, gigantic progressive, arguably to the left of Bernie Sanders on many issues, ranked the most liberal United States senator, and then now all of a sudden is a unifying moderate. Okay, because if she's unable to explain why, and by the way, I don't think she will want to because she doesn't want to lose the progressive vote, you know, then yes, she's a chameleon and the transformation is completely disingenuous.
People change their minds when the facts change, they should. But if you want to be the people's vice president or president, you should have to stand before an interviewer and say, this is why I changed my mind. So to everybody who's seen that I criticized Donald Trump since he asked the question.
And Kamala Harris won't stand in front of an interviewer, by the way. It's been almost 3 weeks. I believe maybe exactly 3 weeks since she's been the Democrat nominee. No interviews, okay? Not even with ABC. You would think George Stephanopoulos would sit down and be like, so tell me about why you fell out of a coconut tree. But she won't even do it. It's baffling. It's actually mysterious. Even Joe Biden Since then, guys, Joe Biden has done interviews with the media, but Kamala Harris has not. It's insane. It's just wild.
Here are two things.
You didn't just criticize him. You said he could be America's Hitler.
Well, that's a criticism, and I didn't say that exactly, but set that to the side. What I
CNN.
said about Donald Trump and what I believed about Donald Trump, two things that really changed. First of all, I didn't think Donald Trump would be a good president. He was a great president. Wages were rising. The world was more peaceful. Remember, when Donald Trump was running for president the first time, they said he would start World War III. He brought more peace to the world than any president of my lifetime. The second thing, Dana, is I believed, and I'm ashamed of it, I believed a lot of the media lies about Donald Trump in 2016. I believe that he said things like, for example, the media said Donald Trump accused all Mexicans of being rapists and criminals. You actually look at what he said, he did not say that at all. And I think it's important when you see something, you change your mind, and that's all I've done. And my pitch to the American people would be, I imagine a lot of folks who are thinking about voting for Donald Trump in 2024, maybe they've bought in to the media lies about him. Think for yourself, look at what he actually said, and I think you'll find that he's, one, a very engaging guy, but two, was a very good president.
There aren't media lies. We play him and we let him speak for himself, and so people are getting exactly.
What?
I'm not accusing you of
No,
lying.
I know.
I like you, but
No,
the
I know
media
you're
lies
not.
from time to
I know
time
you're
about
not, but
Donald Trump.
people hear him for himself. Last question.
Please.
Are you going to debate Tim Walz?
Of course. I want to debate Tim Walz. I think it's important, and I think that it...
So there you had it again, the JD Vance CNN interview. I thought that closing pitch he made there was exactly the way I thought that the Trump campaign should play this, which is whatever the VP candidate was, if they were not a day one supporter of Trump, you should actually use that in your favor to say, look, a lot of Americans are like that, right? Not everyone was on the Trump train in 2016. Maybe they came over in 2020, or heck, maybe now in 2024 they're thinking about it. Make an outreach to those people and say, look, you know, it's okay. You can cross the picket line, whatever. But yeah, overall, way out of Dana Bash's league. I think JD Vance should keep doing these interviews because the media can paint him in a certain way. Oh, he's weird. Oh, childless cat ladies. Oh, he's like a Catholic theocrat. No, he's a loser, social outcast, whatever they want to say. But the moment he's either in front of a microphone, but especially in front of an interviewer, I think he does very well. Okay, so I would say keep doing these every week. I think he did 3 interviews on this Sunday alone. And it's in strong contrast to the Kamala Harris campaign, who's still 21 days in, folks, will not do an interview. So it tells you everything you need to know. All right, folks, that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.